for another day in Bronie's world, and it will be the first Saturday of 2024 when you see this. And I am so happy and so excited to have my favorite doctor in the world back with me as my guest today, the amazing, fabulous, glorious Dr. Joel Wallach. And
oh my gosh.
And today,
that's a lot to live up to.
We've all missed you. We have all missed you. All my followers have missed seeing you. So we're looking forward to our really good show today. And today's topic is going to be about the tongue. So, Doc, I'm going to hand it over to you because I had, as you know, a client or secondhand client that has burning tongue with numbing, and she's about 60. So love you to answer that. And I'm not sure of her weight or anything, but so we'll talk about the tongue today.
Okay, let's get started. Okay. And basically, we have a flip chart, which goes into all the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. We have the book, It's All on Your Head, which goes into the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay, very good. And we have epigenetics, which goes into these things, showing that they are nutritional deficiencies and not genetic.
I got that one, but it's not right here on my desk.
Okay. And then also we have, that has information on the same subject, dead doctors don't lie. When a doctor doesn't know something, they just make something up and saying, we don't know about it, I'll look it up. They just make up something. And we've sold so many of these books because so many people have been frustrated with getting incorrect answers from medical doctors and pharmacists and stuff like that. So at any rate, those are available, obviously. And we do have a, we do have an education brochure, which has pictures of most, not all, but most of our books covers. I think we have 23 now. We got 3 more coming out here pretty quick. And so this is very useful information. So let's get started. And I want to get started by going back to the old Bible. Okay, the old Bible. And
my favorite book.
Yeah, the old Bible talks about longevity and health and so forth. And it lists Adam as living to be 930. Noah living to be 950, Methuselah living to be 969. Okay, that kind of gives us a what should I say, something to talk about when it comes to how old people can get. And then let's talk about, jump to current, okay, and find out. And this is from the United Nations. This is not my data. This is from the United Nations, and they have the top 100 cultures of longevity. Okay. And so let's look at number 1 is Hong Kong. Their average life expectancy is 85.83. Excuse me. And number 2 is Macau. Their life expectancy is 85.51. Number 3 is Japan. Their longevity expectancy is 84.95. And number 4 is Switzerland. How'd they get in there? Everybody else is Asian. And so they live on glacial milk. They're getting the heavily mineralized water coming down from the mountains. They're in Switzerland, and they drink it, they cook with it, they irrigate their gardens with it. And so the Swiss, of all of the Caucasians, okay, they live the longest, 84.38. Okay, then let's go back to number 5 is Singapore, and they life expectancy is 84.20. Okay, now let's see where United States, let's see where America ranks in all this. That was the top 5. America ranks 47th. No, I take that back. Yeah, no, we rank 47th when it comes to longevity. We rank 47th. And doctors get on top of the mountains and they beat their chests and say how wonderful they are and all this, that, and the other. But when you look at that, this is the United Nations data, not mine. And we live to be half the age of the longest living humans. Okay, our life expectancy is 79.74. 79.74. It's terrible.
And where does Australia come on your list?
Let's see here. Australia comes in number 10 at 83.25 or 75, 83.75.
Well, at least we're in the top 10.
Yeah.
Just.
Okay. Yeah, you're in the top 10. Okay. And we're number 47 Americans. It's crazy when you think about it. Okay. Now let's look a little deeper here and find out.
And that's just the industrial nations, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the industrial nations. I didn't talk about, of course, the longest lived nation was from the Himalayan mountains. Okay. And we're, okay. The Hunzas, their life expectancy is 120. And many of them live to be 130, 140, 150. Now, the record for longevity in the industrialized nations, okay, industrialized nations, is a woman from France by the name of Jean Calment. She died in 1997 at age 122 years and 164 days. So she's the longest living person from the industrialized nations. Okay. Well documented. There's so many people looked at that and all her records and everything. Okay, now let's kind of go sideways a little bit here because we're going to get to the tongue here in a second. Alzheimer's disease in America, okay, we spend $345 billion a year just treating the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, not to prevent or cure it, but just to treat the symptoms. $345 billion a year. Arthritis, again, we don't spend the money to prevent or cure it, but just to treat the symptoms, we spend $626.8 billion a year. Diabetes, we spend $342 billion a year just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it. Heart disease, we spend $316.8 billion just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it. Obesity, we spend $260 billion a year just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it. Okay. High blood pressure, $131 billion just to treat the symptoms, not to prevent or cure it. Now we're getting down to really deep stuff here. Let's look at arthritis, which we did here already, $626.8 billion just to treat the symptoms. Okay.
It's a lot of money.
Now, kind of a cousin disease to arthritis is osteoporosis. They kind of run together. You can have osteoporosis, which will go into arthritis. You can have arthritis that goes to osteoporosis. Okay. Well, this is again from the United Nations, not me. When you look at three communities that kind of are the same, United States, Canada, and the European Union, these three communities together each year spend $6.5 trillion with a T just to treat the symptoms of osteoporosis, not to prevent or cure it. So when you add in osteoporosis, we spend $7 trillion a year just to treat the symptoms of arthritis and osteoporosis, not to prevent or cure it. This is crazy when you think about it. Okay. And the story gets worse. Okay, let's look at common diseases that occur when you have osteoporosis of the skull. Doctors know nothing about osteoporosis of the skull. I'm the first one to identify it, get it published in a book called It's All in Your Head. Okay.
It's a good book. It's a good little book to have.
Yep. Because it goes into...
It's thin enough to travel with it.
Yeah. It goes into all the different diseases you get when you have osteoporosis of the skull. What happens is, on page number 6, it compares a normal skull with an osteoporosis skull. The top skull is normal. They cut the top of the skull off because they're looking down at autopsy on top of the brain, and they see that the skull is about 1/4 of an inch thick. The next skull down there is also at autopsy. They've cut the top of the skull off. They're looking down on the brain, and the skull is 1.5 inches to 2 inches thick. Now, that's not bone. That's actually scar tissue because they have osteoporosis and the skull went away. You can see where this much scar tissue is going to squeeze the nerves, the 12 pairs of cranial nerves coming out of the skull. Now, we have a chapter in this book for each set of cranial nerves, and we have a special CD that goes along for the spinal cord But look at all those different nerves that are afflicted by osteoporosis of the skull.
Yeah.
Okay, and
That's a
there's a
lot,
chapter
isn't
in
it?
each one. Chapter in each one tells you all the symptoms that each of those situations cause. Now let's get into that. Okay, common diseases of osteoporosis of the skull. Okay, squeezing cranial nerve number 1, you lose your sense of smell. Gosh, I can't smell anything anymore. That's a warning. You've got osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing that. And it might be the only one in the beginning that you can tell anything's going on. Cranial nerve number 2 being squeezed, that's optic nerve atrophy, and you slowly, gradually lose your vision. Okay. And
Yep.
it's optic nerve atrophy. The skull is squeezing that optic nerve slowly, right? Ptosis, okay. Number 3, cranial nerve number 3, the pupil does not respond to light. The pupil is supposed to get narrow and little when bright light goes on, and when it's dark, the pupil gets bigger to get more light into the eye, right? When you have the osteoporosis squeezing the 3rd cranial nerve, you get ptosis, and the pupil doesn't respond to light in either direction. Cranial nerve number 4 being squeezed, you get double vision, okay, and pain around your eye, okay. Trigeminal neuralgia, that's cranial nerve number 5, very, very painful. Painful cheekbones, facial bones, skull, okay. Number 6, cranial nerve number 6 being squeezed, you get double vision, strabismus. Cranial nerve number 7 being squeezed, you get Bell's palsy, and one side of your whole face will droop. Okay. Tinnitus, ringing in the ears, you get deafness, vertigo, Meniere's disease, tinnitus, ringing in the ears. Okay, the skull squeezing cranial nerve number 8. Okay. Cranial nerve number 9 is related to the question you asked. You lose your gag reflex, you lose your sense of taste, and you get a burning tongue when cranial nerve number 9 gets squeezed. Cranial nerve number 10 gets squeezed, you get gastroparesis, you get all kinds of pain in your stomach and this and the other. You get COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, hiccups, and atrial fibrillation, irregular heartbeat. Okay. Cranial nerve number 11, you squeeze the spinal cord and the nerves that lead to your trapezius muscles. Okay. And so you can't.
Yeah, I couldn't say that word either.
Huh?
I couldn't say that word either. I couldn't get my tongue around it.
Which one is that? Trapezius?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then that's cranial nerve number 11. Okay. Cranial nerve number 12, atrophy of the tongue, the loss of speech, taste, and burning of the tongue. Okay, that's cranial nerve number 9 and 10. So those are the 2 that are afflicted when you have burning of the tongue. Okay.
9 and 12.
9 and 12. Now,
yeah.
The beauty of this is you can rebuild the skull. The tunnels get bigger that the nerves go through and take the pressure off. And all these things, you can have them for 3, 5, 8, 10 years, and it'll go away in a couple of weeks. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. And so when you get a loss of the myelin, the white matter of the brain and spinal cord, you get Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, Huntington's disease, frontotemporal dementia, and it's kind of like Alzheimer's disease, which just affects the part of the brain in the front and the temples, whereas Alzheimer's affects the entire brain. Bruce Willis has frontotemporal dementia. Okay. Excuse me. Let's see here. Bell's palsy. Again, these are all cranial nerve things. This is on page 24 of the flip chart. The flip chart. Now, one of the things I want you to appreciate in this flip chart, there's 75 pages, and we have a lot of famous people in there who had to retire from their careers because they had osteoporosis, they couldn't function anymore. They were totally functionless, and they were just at home with people taking care of them, okay? We put them on our program, with the 90 essential nutrients and get rid of all the bad foods, and they all got better and went back to work doing what they did. We're talking about Pat Boone, Danny Glover, Theo Ratliff, Evander Holyfield, Pastor Mike Freeman, Andy Young, Pastor Creflo Dollar, Jerry Lewis, Martin Luther King III, Mike Glenn. All these famous people had to retire because they had osteoporosis of the skull. We rebuilt their skull. They came back. They were able to go back and do the things they love to do. And I asked them if they would allow me to tell their story. And so their story is in this flip chart with their pictures, and about 2/3 of them, my pictures with them. So people know this is, okay, now this flip chart is a credibility tool. Because people are say, well, what do you know about this? You know, you're not a doctor. What do you know about this? Okay. Well, you look at page 24. Hemolytic disease, white matter goes away, and it has all these diseases. Okay. And about 30 diseases that you get when you have demyelinization of the brain and spinal cord. And then commonly misdiagnosed diseases when you have this problem. We're talking about atrial fibrillation, okay, which is sort of vibration of atrium of the heart, abnormal heart rate, hiccups, neuropathies, including burning of the tongue, tinnitus, ringing in the ears, optic nerve atrophy, trigeminal neuralgia, gastroparesis, COPD, atrophy of the tongue and burning of the tongue, Erb's palsy, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, polyuria. All of these are caused by osteoporosis of the skull, and you get them on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Okay, you get them on the collagen peptides. You get them on the glucogel, and get them on the I-26 to rebuild the myelin. All these go away. The doctors want to put you in their facility for 20 years.
Yes.
Wouldn't you rather do this nutritional support and in say a month or two you're perfectly normal again?
Yes, it would be better than being on harsh drugs all the time or stuck in an institution for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this all started in 1888.
Yeah.
Let's go back 3,000 years ago. Okay. We were looking at the Old Testament, the Old Bible, and you're looking at, the famous people from that era. And they were using wood and coal as fuel. They're putting the wood ashes into their food as spices. And they're putting wood ashes from their food into their gardens as fertilizer. They're getting the minerals that the tree had sucked up and the glaciers had ground up in the mountains. And so that's why they live so long.
Yeah.
Getting all these minerals from the wood ashes and coal ashes and the glacial milk. Okay, the water coming down from the mountains and the minerals that have been from the rocks being ground up by the glaciers. Now, in 1888, the first house in the United States in Wisconsin got electricity. By 1900, there were so many people in the middle class, have good jobs and they could afford it, and rich people, they got the electricity in their homes and their workplace and everything. And suddenly now we had dozens of diseases you'd never seen before because they weren't getting their minerals anymore. Okay. And this book tells the story of the transition from wood and coal as fuel to electricity. And we call this Hell's Kitchen. Okay. Because you go from heaven on earth to hell on earth because you went to electricity and you stop taking vitamins and minerals. Everybody should read this book at least once a year. Okay. Because it'll remind you what the heck is going on here. Okay. And then of course we have the book, Dr. Wallach's Cooking Without the Bad Foods, 370 pages. It's the second edition. And we're working on the third edition now. These sell so well. Okay.
Yes, I've got that book. It's a good book.
Yeah, and of course, it's got over 500 recipes in 570 pages. Okay. And it's very extremely popular. Okay, because it helps people eat well, have good, tasty food, and yet support healthy, longer, productive lives. Okay. And that book goes along well with Hell's Kitchen. The book, It's All in Your Head, goes along with the Wallach Revolution. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to get that one. It's,
and these two books go along with the flip chart. Okay. And the flip chart,
awesome.
of course, goes into all these things, all these diseases that we have saved all these wonderful people from. Okay. And just remember that if you buy 10 or more of any of these books, you get a nice discount. So you can make a little bit of money if you say you buy 10 of them, and you can make a little profit when you sell them to your group or to other people. But you want to get your people involved in the business side of this, get their home business. They get to have tax deductions for having an office in their house based on the square footage, on their car, their homeowner's insurance. All those sort of things are fuel, percentage of the fuel, depending on how much space you use for your office and warehouse in your house, your young and just think of that. You get all these tax deductions, which can amount to a minimum of hundreds of dollars a month and thousands of dollars a year.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's, we're not talking about the cash flow to you. We're talking about just the tax deductions, because it's a legitimate thing to have tax deductions when you have a business. You get to deduct the cost of your space, your utilities, the cleaning and maintenance of that space. And so the tax deductions are a big, 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 big positive when you do your longevity business. Okay. Now, what I want to do here, let's see here. Do you have any other questions we can answer?
I do actually. It just came to my mind because I'd forgotten about it. But my mother-in-law actually, the optometrist found that one of her eyes was like sand behind the eyes. You know, it was so gritty, there was nothing there lubricating it. And she wondered what causes that.
Well, again, we're talking about osteoporosis of the skull.
Yeah, because she asked the optometrist, and the optometrist was honest enough to say she didn't know and she would find out.
The ophthalmologist doesn't know this. Doctors know nothing about osteoporosis of the skull. This is the first book ever written about osteoporosis of the skull. I looked all over the world. There was never a book written about it. There was never any, what should I say, they talk about osteoporosis, but they never talk about osteoporosis of the skull and the specific diseases it causes.
Yeah.
Osteoporosis. And everybody just thinks, oh, it's my hips and my legs and my arms and my vertebrae and so forth, but they never think about the skull.
Yes, I wondered whether it was part of the osteoporosis of the skull, because like she's got no lubrication there. It's just like gritty sand. And anyway, they've given her a gel.
Is that what she sees as gritty sand, or is that what she hears?
No, that's what it feels like, and that's what the optometrist explained when they had a look. It said, "Oh, it's like you've got gritty sand behind your eye."
Yeah. Okay. That's osteoporosis of the skull, because it's squeezing the optic nerve. Okay.
Yeah, because it was only affecting one eye more than the other.
Yeah, that's not unusual, because when people get osteoporosis of their legs, oh, I got, osteoporosis in my right leg, and they want to give me a hip replacement. What about your left leg? Well, it's beginning there, but it's not bad enough for them to give me a hip replacement for it either. And so, this is biology. This is not a factory. And so things happen funny.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So really that's fun. The best way to treat it, other than immediately putting what the optometrist gave her, like a drop that's like really thick, like Vaseline, but it's not Vaseline, to put in her eye, which has relieved it, but it won't completely take the symptoms away, if I'm guessing, unless she fixes everything else.
Have they done that? Have they done that?
But it's relieved her eye a bit getting that gel in there sort of thing, but
yeah, because it's relieving that pressure from the skull squeezing that nerve.
Yeah. So she'd need to treat it just the same as you would with any other osteoporosis issue.
Yeah,
Getting rid of
you need to get that book. Okay.
I have this one. I should give this to the optometrist. She was keen to know because she didn't. At least she was honest to say she didn't know what caused it. Didn't make up anything. She just said, "I don't know, and I'll see if I can find out." So there you go. I can take it the solution.
Yep, you can take her the solution, so she'll be able to help other people. And again, if they're really serious about everything, the average person doesn't know about what happened in 1888 when we switched to electricity from wood and coal after 3,000 years. And suddenly we had all these new diseases. Now, before that point, doctors, would rub you with oils and give you herbs and that kind of stuff. And that was pretty much the medical world.
Yeah.
Now, once we had all this osteoporosis, serious osteoporosis after 1888, suddenly now the medical schools were going crazy, and the pharmacies were coming out with all these various drugs to relieve pain and inflammation. They relieve the symptoms, but they don't cure the disease. Why would you want to kill the milk cow?
Well, exactly right.
So they just keep giving you the treatment for the symptoms, and people are, oh my, I just love my doctor. I had such terrible pain and couldn't walk without a walker or crack pain or anything like that. They gave me this stuff, and I use it, topically on my hip. I take these pills, and now I can walk with just a cane. I don't have to have a walker or a wheelchair or anything like that. I just love my doctor. But it's slowly getting worse and worse and worse. After about 3 or 4 or 5 years, suddenly now they're walking down the street, they get a fracture and fall down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not good.
Okay. And so that's what happens. And so it's one of those things where the medical system is blind to osteoporosis of the skull.
Well, it causes blindness.
I'm sorry?
It causes blindness, doesn't it? So that's why they're blind. Sorry. Oh. That's just our New Year's punk for the You got to laugh, Doc. It's the best medicine out there is laughter, isn't it?
Yes. And of course, again, seeing these famous people who had all these terrible diseases that, we're talking about 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. The longest one took 90 days to get healed. And they had to retire because everything was so bad, the doctors couldn't help them anymore with symptoms. And within 90 days, we rebuilt them, and they got back to work and doing what they loved to do. One was Theo Ratliff, great basketball player. Theo Ratliff, he, let's see what they say. Yeah, Theo Ratliff is a very interesting story, but I think the most important part of the story is he and I did a lot of work together. Okay. Excuse me. And I rebuilt him so he could go back, and he got a job. And he made 90,000. No, I was going to take it back. He made $100,000. No, I take that back. He made $100 million. And here he is. He and I are going into one of these meetings where we're talking about nutrition. Now he's 7 foot tall. Okay. And I'm 5.
He's a giant.
And I'm 5'4".
Well,
so we rebuilt him with a healthy brain heart pack. Okay. And we made the glucogel for him, the healthy bone and joint pack. We made that specifically for him. There was no collagen product on the market that you could take orally. People would do bone broth. That's how they got their collagen. They would boil bones in vinegar, and they'd get their collagen that way. Well, we came out with a product, okay? And called glucogel. It was
Yes,
the
a
first
good one. I love that.
commercial. It was the first commercial collagen product, and we're the ones that made it.
Mm,
Okay, glucogel.
there you go. I didn't realize that little tidbit that it was the first on the market.
Yeah, first one, because everybody was boiling chicken bones and beef bones and stuff like that, and pork bones in vinegar water, and they would drink that and they'd get collagen that way. So the pharmacists say, well, why, they're not going to buy our collagen if we make it. They're just boil more bones.
Yeah, people don't do that so much these days.
No, because they have glucogel.
Yeah, but even before glucogel, like
we sell a lot.
Even those that don't have glucogel don't seem to make bone broth anymore. So, and they're missing out.
Yeah, bone broth is not so common anymore in industrialized nations. Obviously, in the third world cultures, they have some bone broth action going on. But this is not difficult to understand. Okay.
No.
And so, any other questions?
Well, not off the top of my head, that people have, other than the normal Alzheimer's, we sort of kind of covered that. So I get that one all the time.
Okay, well, you're going to give out your telephone number and your email address and stuff like that so people can contact you, and you can get some new blood coming in to join your group and join your longevity family. And so, I'll be happy to continue to do this with you and your longevity family, because it's a growing thing right now, because all these businesses have shut down, all the prices have gone up. And people used to get their health insurance as a bonus benefit. We'll hire you and we'll give you free health insurance. That was a kind of perk, because there's two companies fighting over who's going to get this wonderful employee. Well, one came out and said, well, I'll give you free healthcare insurance. Well, I'm going with him. Okay. And so suddenly now we are the healthcare insurance.
Yes.
Like glucogel and healthy bone and joint pack and that sort of thing. Okay.
Yes. Well, I'm in Australia, so my number. Obviously, you got to put the plus in front of it, and 61 0407 104 101. So for those in Australia.
Say it again.
So it's plus 61, because that's the area code for Australia, and 0407 104 101. That's my mobile number, and it's really good if people can text that. It's much easier for me to see that's where they're from.
Good. Now, do you have any more questions? If you don't have more questions, I'm going to take off here.
No, we will call it short today, and because I know you're very, very busy, and but thank you, Doc. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you back again.
Well, and good to see you, Bronie. Is wonderful.
I still have you on my wall, see, with the rebound. That's a great drink. It's a great drink, that rebound, and that was
rebound. Absolutely.
It was produced for Theo Ratcliffe as well.
We made that for him. So that's one of the reasons why he recovered. And in 90 days he was playing full time, and he made $100 million in 9 years. And he's running around the world now telling his story, and people are coming to us wanting all of the stuff that Theo Ratcliffe gets, including the rebound. We made that rebound for him.
That's wonderful. It is absolutely great drink, and sometimes we run out here, and my husband sort of kind of, so when it came in, he didn't even see it on the shelf.
Okay, well, as they say in Australia, cheers. And
cheers, yes. So as I say here in Bronie's world, I ask you all really nicely to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you are taking care of your body, giving it what it needs, then you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. I'll catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's world. And thank you, Doc, and we'll catch you again next time that you and I get to have a chance.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Okay, God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye.